Hey, what up, YouTube? I want to say this is what the first video I'm making since we've officially joined the Mountain West. So, I mean, since that day happened, you've seen just about the entirety of the Mac fandom turn on NIU. Um, you also have, well, let me say maybe me more than others, but yeah, you've definitely seen the Mac turn on NIU. And then just like, I guess since we're headed to another conference, I mean, yeah, we still have next season in the MAC, but at this point, it's like all of our issues, all of our beef, all of our problems really are with the Pacific Athletic Conference. Um, all we can really be is an advocate for the Mountain West now. So it's like, I mean, like we have that's the table we're sitting at, essentially, right? AD Frazier. I'm not sure how things go. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm not an athletic director or a university vice president or any of those things, right? Do we still attend MAC meetings? Are we allowed to attend MAC meetings? You know, right? I don't know how that goes, but clearly, like, there's probably more communication happening now with the Mountain West than there is with the MAC. The only communication that will really be happening, from this point is all the general typical stuff. But when it comes to future planning for the MAC and things like that, like those are things that, sadly, not sadly, but we just won't be a part of. Now, when it comes to communication and things like that, what's the next steps going forward with Mountain West? On the other hand, NIU will be involved with that. Even though we're a football only member, you have to remember football is the king of the hill in sports. I want to say professional and collegiate. The viewership numbers don't lie at the end of the day. People watch college football, people watch NFL football. After that, I mean, I guess you can say basketball. We know baseball exists. But yeah, football is king of the hill. I want to say, even at the college level, being a football only member, that's a majority share you're getting. Right. So if you're a football only member, you're still potentially getting maybe anywhere from, and I guess it depends on the conference, anywhere from 60 something percent up to 80 something percent of a share. So, you just gotta understand that clearly means that football means more. So here's how I see things going. Like, hopefully thinking about things. And it's actually kind of funny because I was just arguing with a Utah State fan. So in the process of, right, like us officially becoming Mountain West members, right, you get to start seeing a lot more interactions with Mountain West fans, as well as interactions with Pacific Athletic Conference fans, because you have to realize these two conferences are kind of at each other's necks right now. You got the new Pacific Athletic Conference, who thinks they're better than everybody, and you have the Mountain West Conference, who's like, we have a functioning conference and y'all don't. So why are y'all still talking? Like, it's kind of crazy. But I'm talking to a Utah State fan, and the thing you hear about the Pack is like, they're, oh, we can still get UNLV. We can, let's get UNLV, Tulane, Memphis, da da da. And it's like, these schools are not joining your conference. They're not joining your conference. They're just not. Right? If they were going to join, it would have happened. It's that simple. Right? I think that they thought, because they were so willing to leave the Mountain West and join the Pack, I think they thought other schools would just be willing to leave and join the Pack. I think the Pack originally had their eyes potentially on 6 to 8 schools. The reason why I say 6 would be Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Colorado State. And I do think the last one would have been UNLV. I think that's who they originally, like, if those were the six, I think those were the six. That's why to this day, you still have these pack fans that are like, we need UNLV. We need UNLV. Like, everything is riding on UNLV. Why? Because it's Las Vegas, and UNLV is now actually taking football serious. Years prior, UNLV didn't care. UNLV literally may have been one of the worst college football teams. Like, there was no care to it. But now that you see Las Vegas, and it seems like sports in general at every level, we're talking about football, baseball, at the collegiate level, they got a hockey team, right? The only thing they don't have is a basketball team, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make a play for one sooner, down the line. Like, more than likely, if there's an NBA expansion, they start adding teams, Vegas is on that list. Or if for some odd reason one of the current NBA teams is looking for a new home in the next who knows how many years, Vegas will probably be the landing spot. So you have what you have. A lot of money is being thrown into sports in Vegas. And the football team over the last few seasons has changed. UNLV went from, this is a cakewalk team, this is a cupcake team, and that's an easy win, to, oh no, UNLV is now a legitimate opponent, is a legitimate content. Like, this team is different. They have changed things up, and they're only getting more and more serious, right? They just hired potentially one of the best coaches. Like, they essentially went and got a power conference coach to come and coach their team. That's how serious of a move they're trying to make. Like, you might see UNLV end up in a power conference before you see any of these other schools. You could see UNLV in a power conference before you see any other school. Boise, after all these years of success, still might get left out. Because UNLV, like we've seen, they have the media market. They got the money. They're clearly making the investments, right? They're doing something. UNLV could very much end up in the Big 12 sooner rather than later. So you got all this stuff going on. They like I said, the Pac wanted UNLV bad, and they still do. At least from the fan point of view, they want UNLV. And I would think even at the commissioner level, with all the ADs and at these meetings, I'm pretty sure UNLV, that piece is still sitting on the table on the chessboard, and they're like, how do we get them to join? Right? All these other schools, like Memphis, Tulane, yada, whatever. How do we get UNLV to join? Because now they're in that situation. They only have 7 teams for football. They have a conference by NCAA standards. They have 8 full members, but one of your members doesn't sponsor football. So, yeah. They now need 2 more schools. Tulane, Memphis, those schools aren't joining. They aren't joining. You have Sacramento State, which every other day, every other week, you get buzz pertaining to Sacramento State. Sacramento State had one of the best transfer portals. They had a top 10 transfer portal. They had the best at the FCS level. And if we're being realistic, if you put them at the FBS level, they were ranked I want to say number 9. So Sac State has talent coming in, right? Which is kind of crazy. Like, what is going on in Sacramento? The funny part was the Pac said, we're not adding a FCS team. That's how much they think their shit don't stink. We are not that desperate. We're not adding an FCS school. We're going to get another FBS school. Now they're sitting here and it's like the rumor mill is like, Sacramento State might go to the Pac. Because it kind of seems like, well, the Mountain West, Commissioner Navarro stated the Mountain West is going to hold off on making any other moves for now. I'm going to hold her to her word. She hasn't lied to us yet. So, it might be a little break before you see anything else happening with the Mountain West. Remember, we still got till 2026 anyway, right? It just turned 2025. So we got some time before we see anything else happen, right? She's going to cool down, chill down, let things work their way out. The Pac, on the other hand, they kind of need to do some things. They need to do some things. Don't know what they're waiting for, but they need to do some things. A lot of things are pointing to Sacramento State. Seems like they're trying to make a play for the FBS, right? Things are being said. They're like, watch our next move, yada, yada, yada. And now it's like trying to figure out, okay, well, it seems like Sacramento State is moving up. Are they going to Conference USA? Is the Mountain West a player? Are they going to the Pac? And like I said, it would just be hilarious to me if they end up in the Pac after the Pac literally said, we're adding no FCS schools. Right? Another school that has essentially, technically, I guess, been on the Pac's radar, Texas State. Texas State will probably end up in the Pac. But the thing that kills me is like Texas State and their fan base. It's something weird about this Pacific Athletic Conference and these fans. It's something about the folks who join the Pac. They're just all smug assholes, right? They just swear up and down they got the best team in all of college sports. Like, it does not make sense. I'm like, Texas State, you all are in the Sun Belt. If you all were just hot stuff, the Pac would have sent you an invite a while ago. They would have gotten you all in a while ago. You want to know what you all are? You all are option Z. You all are a desperation pick. You all are not who they want, but they will settle with. And the thing is, y'all kind of created that situation because it wasn't a situation of, oh, well, the Mountain West didn't want you. The only reason Texas State even got put on this map is because the Mountain West, from what I remember, extended an offer. The Mountain West extended an offer. Other than that, nobody would have been even talking about Texas State. The Mountain West extended an offer. You all, it costs too much to leave the Sun Belt, and da-da-da-da-da. It costs too much to leave the Sun Belt, but y'all can join the Pac. Okay, we see y'all, Texas State. It's whatever. So, we'll move on from that. The moves, or let me get back to what I was saying. I'm arguing with this guy, this Utah State fan. And in arguing with him, right, I kind of go back to D1 360s. So D1 360, his page, he pumped out that NIU to the Mountain West video. It was showing the pros from both sides, why is this a good thing for NIU? Why is this a good thing for the Mountain West Conference? And then it did that viewership breakdown. I think that was the thing I loved the most, because what it did was showed you, at least in my eyes, it did for sure, showed you how much value NIU brought to the conference. I think NIU fans, at the end of the day, we knew without having the actual data, without actually crunching the numbers and having the spreadsheet, but we knew. I knew, at least. I'm like, NIU brings value not only because, okay, we have a competitive football team over the last 2 decades, but there's value added because of Chicago. And because DeKalb is officially a part of that Chicagoland media market, there you go. We count, right? People got to understand, between Chicago and the suburbs, and even once you start to get out there to the DeKalb and Rockford and all that stuff, that's a lot of TVs. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of televisions. Chicago alone, we're talking about 2.7 something million people, I believe. So if there's 2.7 million something people in Chicago itself, I know spots like Joliet, Naperville, right? All these places in between, they're adding a lot more, thousands more. If NIU and the Mountain West properly do things, if they properly do things and get NIU in positions that they need to be in, what I see happening is this. When I looked at the D1360 video for NIU, like I said, he did an apples to apples comparison. And that comparison was purely just Mid-American Conference games. No non-con games, no games against a Power 5, a Power 4, Power 5 opponent. Purely just MAC versus MAC, right? To give you the best comparison, because you got to realize, like, if some odd, for some, let's say some odd way, you know, Toledo or Ball State, right? Or Akron. Let's say Akron is able to schedule Notre Dame. They schedule Ohio State. They schedule Penn State. And they get, let's say they also got Cincinnati or something, right? Like, let's say they got all those schools on their schedule. They got those 4 on their schedule. And they played literally 3 away games, and then Cincinnati was like, yeah, sure, we'll come play y'all at home and blow y'all out. The viewership, right? Because Notre Dame is getting national viewership. Ohio State, because it's Ohio State, that game will probably still be put on some sort of national network, right? I don't think, like, the Big Ten network is not going to put Ohio State behind a paywall. They're going to still make sure Ohio State has national viewership, right? You got Penn State, same thing for the most part. Cincinnati, that's the only one where ESPN might be like, but then again, they'll probably still end up on like ESPN2 or something. Sorry about that. My dog no longer want to be near me. But let's say you got Akron and they're playing these 4 non-conference games, all 3 of them against power conference teams. Let's say if it's even just 3 out of the 4. Let's just say ESPN Plus does get the Cincinnati-Akron game. The Akron versus Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame, they're gonna get viewed. And the numbers are gonna be high regardless. So, you factor that in, it's gonna make Akron's viewership that year crazy. Like, for instance, NIU, we were the 3rd highest ranked non-power conference team in viewership. Now, of course, I'm talking stuff. Everybody on Twitter is talking stuff. Look at us. Look at how. Let's also factor in, we played a game against Notre Dame. We beat Notre Dame, but we played a game against Notre Dame. And those viewership numbers were off the wall. Now, what I was telling people from the get-go, right, because then they started showing Notre Dame numbers against other teams, our game, and I truly felt this and I believed it because I knew deep down in my soul, I was like, why has the NIU versus Notre Dame game done exponentially better than others, right? Chicago, you had probably every damn TV in Chicago, the suburbs, in Northwest Indiana, probably in all honesty, the entire state of Indiana, the entire state of Illinois. Everybody was watching that game, right? It was not just a simple, this is Notre Dame versus NIU and whatever, that should be a cakewalk blowout game for Notre Dame. I'm not going to watch that. Oh, no, 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 no. You had everybody watching it. You had a lot of people watching that game. And then let's not forget national viewership. It's a nationally televised game. So from coast to coast, everybody got to see it. So that's why the viewership was so strong, right? We get NIU versus NC State. The viewership was pretty damn good for that one as well. I truly believe, other than sitting there and saying that, oh, well, it's NC State, they're a power conference team, yada, yada. No, I think our numbers did as well as they did. Not just because it was NC State. Like, to me, I view NC State as the second best North Carolina school. In football. For the most part, North Carolina, and then I'll say NC State. Duke is real close, and then Wake Forest. So if we're doing ACC North Carolina schools, North Carolina, NC State, and it just all depends on the years in all honesty, because sometimes Duke might be better than NC State, NC State's better than Duke. It kind of goes back and forth. But with football, for the most part, you can say NC State is second, Duke, and then Wake Forest. Once again, we were part of the big noon kickoff for the most part, right? We had an 11 a.m. game in Central Standard Time, but it was 12 o'clock Eastern. I still feel like a lot of people were up 11 a.m. That game was on, TVs were on, watching. And the game did numbers. We weren't in the millions range. Nah, we weren't in the millions range. But we were definitely, if I remember correctly, we were definitely 500K plus. I'm pretty sure of that one. We were 500K plus. And I'm like, this wasn't a situation of, oh, well, we're 500K plus because North Carolina just had so much viewership. No, I think we were 500K plus because Chicago tapped in. I think Chicago TVs turned on and the number went up. That's what it was. So the Chicago media market plays very well for us. But that's just the non-con games. The D1360 video goes into that breakdown of here are from, or the averages or whatever, from here to here. So it was like a decade's worth of data, right? It wasn't just, I'm just going to put your numbers just from this season or this. No. It was like, I want to say whole 10 years worth of data. We're going to crunch the numbers. He's going to do whatever calculation. And then he gave it a breakdown. For the most part, NIU outperformed the entire conference hands down. I want to say second place was Toledo. And they were like barely above whatever the conference average or whatever was. NIU was significantly above the conference average. And remember, this is based on conference matchups, not the non-con games. Not games versus power conference, just purely MAC games. Whenever NIU was given a platform, so basically ESPN or ESPN2, I want to say ESPNU was also factored into that, but basically ESPN, ESPN2, whenever we were on any one of those, like it calculated all of our games over a certain period of time, and it put them on there. Wild part is there was a season where, and it wasn't even that long ago, there was a season where NIU got not a single, they didn't get a single, I think, ESPN or ESPN2 game, which is crazy. I can't remember which season it was, but there was a season not that long ago. Like he says it in the video, where it's like NIU didn't even get a single ESPN or ESPN2 game XYZ year. Which, when you hear that and think about that, it's like the MAC. Yeah, clearly y'all aren't planning this out. We're not thinking this out. We gotta do better. We need to think about this. But that's the thing. The MAC is gonna MAC. The MAC doesn't view. I don't think the MAC viewed MAC shin games as let's put our best networks on this stage. I mean, clearly that's not true, because we saw Akron versus Kent, I believe. I'm pretty sure we saw their rivalry game on national TV. So yeah, the MAC clearly does not care about, oh, we want to put teams on there that are in the hunt for the championship game, right? It was purely, I mean, like, I get it. It was a rivalry game. You literally had one team that had no wins, and the other team had a win, I believe, 1 or 2 wins. You put 2 of the literal worst teams in all of college sports. You gave them a national game, a nationally televised game. I don't know why at the time it wasn't being criticized, but when you think about it, that might be the worst thing that could have happened to the MAC. Was you essentially wasting a spot, an opportunity on that. I'm just being straight up. That game should not have been on ESPN. It shouldn't have. It shouldn't have. If you're playing the viewership game, if the thing is we're trying to get a better media rights deal for our teams in our conference, why in the hell did you put that game up? Anyways, I'm not going to get caught on that one. Anyways, NIU has clearly shown that they outperform when it comes to the media market viewership, this, that, the other. MAC didn't really seem all that strategic. I'm pulling up, or I'm arguing with this guy about Utah State. He's been Utah State, the 4th best viewed team in the conference, yada, yada, yada. Interestingly enough, and I had noticed this, that D1 360 channel, he's been pumping out videos on all sorts of different sports things, but he's definitely been pumping out videos on conference realignment in general. So when the Mountain West added UC Davis and Grand Canyon University, there's a video for that. When the Mountain West added UTEP, there's a video for that. When I think there might be a video for Hawaii, even though Hawaii was already a member. I think he might have made a video for Hawaii becoming a full member of the Mountain West. Don't quote me on that one. But he definitely had a video for the 5 Mountain West teams that left to join the pack. And I'm like, I'm sitting here arguing with this guy. And I'm almost 1,000% sure to call him on his BS. Like I thought. I turn on the D1 360 video. I'm going through it. I'm getting to the part with the numbers and he's comparing and all that stuff. The viewership. And like I thought, Utah State is not a top 4 viewed team in that conference. We can all guess who the number 1 viewed team is. It's Boise State. And then I could get, I kind of knew the second most viewed team is Air Force. Air Force gets views. Air Force gets views for sure. So Boise State and Air Force are your 1 and 2, right? You then have, I want to say Fresno's up there, San Diego State's up there. I think even Colorado State was up, right? Utah State was number 10. Number 10. So yeah, people are not tuning in to watch Utah State like that. The reason why this guy was so confident that, well, Utah State is a top 4 viewed team. No. Utah State is being carried by other schools in the conference. Utah State had a nice chunk of games that were actually on a Nielsen rated, televised network or whatever, right? And this is where I also have learned that, I want to say, is it CBS Sportsnet? So CBS SN, I'm pretty sure that's the one. I think CBS Sports Network isn't Nielsen rated. And I'm like, damn. So the few games NIU did have on there don't even count. They don't even count. Like, you can't even get the views from that. So in reality, yeah, it sucks, right? I mean, I was happy because we can watch the games anyway. That's all I really cared about, is NIU games being able to be viewed on something that's not ESPN Plus. But I also want to count that viewership. That data matters. So CBS SN, yeah, not the greatest situation. I show him the video. Like, I'm like, dude, watch this video and then look at where Utah State really ranks. Because, yeah, your numbers are going to be skewed to make you all look good, when in reality, what it seems like has been going on for the past decade is you all have been given a spot on the stage because of your media market, which I'm not against. Like, that's exactly what I want for NIU. Salt Lake City is a top 30 ranked media market. Matter of fact, I want to say it's number 28. So it makes sense that if it's Utah State versus Boise, put that on Fox. Put it on Fox Sports 1, whichever, right? Most likely Fox Sports 1, right? Put that on Fox Sports 1. We want the viewership. We want the, right? We want people to see that, right? You got a top 30 media market versus one of the best teams in the country, right? Make sure we got that televised, right? Utah State versus Air Force, same thing. Make sure you put it on Fox Sports 1 or whatever will count the views. We got Utah State versus, right? There was a select number of schools where the viewership clearly was strong. What this Utah State fan did not realize was y'all viewership is not as good as you think. These are the facts. like he's sitting here, he's like, well, yeah, our people in Utah aren't gonna watch the game if it's not against a good team. You do know that means that people aren't really interested in watching you all. They're really watching the other team. Like, you get that, right? Like, you get it. NIU were blessed because, yeah, dude, does anybody really truly care about these games? Like, let's be honest, let's be for real. All that the MAC did with MACtion was give folks a game to watch on a Tuesday and Wednesday. We get it. It's smart. It made sense. You were getting the viewership. The numbers don't lie. You're getting the views. But it's NIU who was pulling in the most views whenever they were given that stage to play on. So let's not make it seem like this was just great. Plus, by doing this, you killed game attendance. So, long story short, we're getting robbed because we have this slew of games being played on a Tuesday and Thursday. And I want to say NIU, right? NIU gets 2 home games during that and then 2 away games during that span of time, right? That's 2 home games that we are not getting money for because you're barely going to get any attendance to those games. Take those same games. If we can get a Friday night, you probably get higher attendance, and these schools can make something. You make it a Saturday, we're clearly going to get a bit higher attendance and the team can make some money. It's a Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Yeah, no, you're not going to make anywhere near what you could make. And those ticket sales matter at the end of the day. Like I said, I won that argument on Twitter because I had to humble the guy and be like, y'all have a good basketball team. I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be real with somebody. I'm not going to lie, right? Utah State has won the conference twice. I'll give them that. They've won the conference twice. I want to say one was like 2012. The other one was 2021. So you have a couple conference championships in there, right? Your football team isn't complete like garbage and stuff. Like, y'all are decent, but y'all aren't the best. And I don't think Utah State is what people are watching the Mountain West Conference for. I'm just being straight up. BYU and Utah get all the viewership in y'all state. Let's be honest. It's BYU and Utah, which is kind of funny because that's like a similar, when you think about it, that's like a similar setup to how Chicago is. We have to compete against U of I and Northwestern. But here's the difficult part. Then we also have Notre Dame. So in reality, there's even more going on with us. Like I said, we're just lucky we're the number 3. That means we just have such a large enough population that it still works out. If Chicago were like the number 50 media market and our population was nowhere near what it is, yeah, NIU viewership numbers would not, they wouldn't do it. We would, no. The views wouldn't be there. Because we're where we are and there's so many televisions in this area, 10% is all you need. 10%. NIU doesn't, if NIU got 100% viewership from every TV in the Chicago/Chicagoland area, you are now easily, that gotta be 3, maybe 4 million, 4 million viewership. If every TV in Chicago and the Chicagoland area region, whatever, all turned on ESPN2 or something, and it was an NIU game on, and every TV turned onto it, you will hit a number of 4 something million. You got to. Like, the number would be insane. It would be insane. So, like I said, NIU doesn't even need 10, we barely, like I said, if just off the top of my head, if every TV tuned in the Chicagoland area, the population of Chicago is already 2.7 something million, give or take. The Chicagoland area, let's add another who knows how many. But here's the thing. This is what I'm really going based on. How many TVs do people typically have in their home? So now we're talking about 2, 3 TVs. That's where I'm getting the number from. So if for some odd reason that ever happened, that viewership number would be so insane, it wouldn't even make sense. These are just the facts. The Mountain West and NIU and what certain things, what I'm hoping happens. Talking to this Utah State fan, like I said, I think they had an AD. Now it's a different AD. In 2023, Gloria Nevarez became No, not AD, but commissioner. Gloria Nevarez became the Mountain West commissioner. Prior to that, completely different person. I'm not 100% sure exactly how Commissioner Nevarez handles all that stuff. I'm not going to act like I even know who makes that decision. I would assume the commissioner, and there's probably some sort of committee or something with the networks. I don't know if the network chooses. Like I said, I don't think the network chooses. I don't necessarily think the network chooses. Because like I said, Akron and Kent State, you cannot tell me ESPN was like, yes, we're putting this game on our network between two of the worst teams in the country. I think the MAC, chose to elevate those games, or that game in particular. I would think that the way things go, when it comes to viewership, right now, your best media markets, NIU, I want to say San Jose State, I want to say New Mexico is on there. You got UNLV, so you got Vegas. Now, media market-wise, I don't necessarily want to say, because is that Fort Collins or is it Colorado Springs? Because Air Force is not a part of the Denver media market. They're not a part of the Denver media market. They are a part of, I want to say, it got to be Colorado Springs. Or I can't remember. But that's not necessarily a super strong media market. The thing is, the military schools get like they get like a weird bump when it comes to viewership, because like I said, Air Force is actually the second highest viewed team in the conference. Air Force gets views. Good season or bad season, people watch Air Force football. They watch the games. Because what I would think is Air Force also, like I said, we're not just talking about folks who attended the Air Force Academy. We're talking about a national fan base, right? You're talking about Air Force veterans, military veterans in general. They watch the games. So Army, Navy, and Air Force get viewership. Navy, I believe, was the highest viewed non-power conference team this year. They had the American Athletic Conference slate of games. They had all those. They had the Notre Dame game. We got the Army-Navy game. We got a bowl game. Navy was the highest viewed non-power conference team. And then it was Colorado State. How did Colorado State end up in that slot? Because of Colorado. Colorado State versus Colorado does numbers. Whether you want to believe it or not, people watch that game. But it wasn't always like that. This is the Deion Sanders effect. Because before Deion Sanders was there, I'm like, yeah, sure, clearly people are going to watch that game. But with Deion, Shador, his son, and everybody is watching that game. So that gives Colorado this huge boost in viewership. Deion Sanders leaves, those numbers are going back down. I can promise you that. It's that simple. The numbers will drop. The marketing, it ain't going to be there no more. It's not going to be, like, that game is truly an event. It is an event. You got rappers, all sorts of rich folks coming to that game, right? Down on the sidelines, this, that. It's an event. It is a spectacle. Let me say that. It's a spectacle, right? So these Colorado games have been off the charts. Colorado has done wonders since Deion Sanders got there. So, like I said, I see, and I would assume you're going to see, because every team plays each other, right? You're going to get an NIU versus Air Force game. You're going to get an NIU versus UNLV game. You're going to get NIU versus New Mexico. You're going to get NIU versus UTEP. You're getting all of those games. If I'm Commissioner Navarez or whomever makes those decisions, right? This is who we want to put in this slot. This is who we want to put in this slot, right? I'm at least for sure. I'm straight up. NIU, at least out of the conference games, I am doing my darndest to elevate them to Fox whenever I can. So we're talking about straight up Fox, right? We're talking about straight up Fox, F-O-X, not Fox Sports 1, not Fox Sports 2, Fox. I am putting them on Fox whenever I can. Whenever I can. You're getting them on Fox. Right? If that opportunity pops up, right, you can get one that's on Fox, right? Which one, right? You might be able to get like, I think they get a couple Fox games a year. So I want to say they get at least 2, maybe 3 that get played on Fox directly. A lot of nice chunk of those games get Fox Sports 1. And then, like I said, of course, we get TBS Sportsnet, and then they got their other partnership, TNT Sports, which technically goes through True TV or something like that, right? Fox, if you can get an NIU game on Fox, if you can get NIU versus Air Force on Fox, that game is going to do numbers. And it sounds crazy, but you just got to plan it out. You got to plan it out. You got to, like, where do we put them on? Like, where do we fit them in? How do we make that one happen? So that's what it comes down to, is how do we strategically do this? But whenever you can get an NIU game on Fox, I would say NIU versus UNLV or NIU versus Air Force. And maybe you do it, I'm going to be honest, maybe you do it earlier on in the season, purely because, let's be honest, you don't want record to get in the way. You don't want records to get in the way. You don't want records to get in the way, right? Non-con games are going to be non-con games. NIU might mess around, go 1-3 in non-conference games. They might go 2-2. It all depends on who they end up playing. You might just want, and when I meant record, I mean conference record. You just might want that to be an early matchup. An early matchup in the season. It's still nice outside, good weather. You're going to want them to play that game a little bit earlier. Make it a spectacle, whichever way you can. Right? Oh, these are 2 new conference foes. We got NIU coming from DeKalb. You got UNLV. We got Air Force. Right? Whatever it is. You want to get them in the spotlight because you want the viewership. If you only get one Fox game, then you at least need to make sure that those other matchups are Fox Sports 1. We got to get the other ones Fox Sports 1. If you can go, and if you can get NIU for, I guess you would consider premium, 4 premium games, meaning Fox Sports or Fox Sports 1, Fox or Fox Sports 1, if you can get them 4 games in that conference schedule, you win, because you're gonna get the views. Here's the other part. Friday, those Friday night games, you have the blessed opportunity to now have an NIU, let's say 6:30 p.m. kickoff or 7 p.m. kickoff, right? NIU, let's say it's Air Force. Let's say we get the schedule, 2026 conference schedule. NIU has Air Force at home. NIU has Air Force at home. 6:30 kickoff is what I would do, and this is why. 6:30 kickoff Central Time, because what that turns into is a 4:30 kickoff Pacific, right? So people are off work, probably at home, they're at bars, sports bars, wherever they are. People can legitimately watch that game, right? So you got 6:30, you got 7:30 on the East Coast, 5:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Pacific. But here's why I say this. If you get that 6:30 kickoff in DeKalb, that still allows you to double dip. That allows you to double dip. It's a beautiful thing. Why do I say that? You can now still do let's say, you can still now do a 7 o'clock and or 7:30 kickoff. Or no, hold on. I feel like I'm doing the math wrong. You can now still do you can now do a 7 o'clock kickoff Pacific. It works. It works out. Right? But the thing is, you're going to want to have a school in that Pacific time zone, right? So that's where it gets a little weird. And if it's not that Pacific time zone, maybe it's the Mountain time zone, right? Because it'll be 8 o'clock. It'll be kind of but you can make it work. Right? We still have San Jose State. And then hopefully, I think San Jose State is going to be a lot better next year. And I think they're only going to continue to get better because they have a great head coach. You now have a San Jose State versus, let's say a San Jose State versus UNLV or something. San Jose State versus, I don't know, maybe some way, somehow, they got their rivalry game with Stanford scheduled at that time. You cannot tell me the viewership ain't going to be real nice on that Friday, because you were able to double dip in primetime games. You got a 6:30 kickoff in the Central Time Zone, and then you went and got you a 7 o'clock kickoff in the Pacific Time Zone. You just worked the system. You worked the system. Yes. Am I about to be probably... And here's the thing. Because it's a Friday night, you know what? I could probably stay up and watch that game until I pass out. I might still watch that San Jose State game and then KO sleep. But we just had 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. That game, the NIU game is probably going to be over at 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. And then we transition into the San Jose State game. It works. It works. It's perfect. It works. You get the double dip on the prime time games. It works out. It works out really nice. Works out really nice. The Saturday games. That's another interesting one. I would assume NIU, right? We're most likely not getting no prime time kid. NIU, the majority of the NIU games, like right, whenever it's a home game, NIU is gonna get anywhere from that big noon kickoff, right? But for us, you got to realize for DeKalb, that's 11 a.m., right? But you're gonna get the big noon kickoff So you're going to get that 11 a.m. game, or you'll probably see I think you could see whatever noon would be Pacific. So we get the big noon kickoff, which is really an 11 a.m. game. But let's say NIU's the away team, right? We're away. Whatever the Pacific, right? Whenever it's 12 Pacific, well, guess what? That's now essentially another noon kickoff, right? So you're working the time zones. You're working the time zones. Your goal is you want to make sure wherever NIU is, you are getting them some prime viewership. That does not mean, okay, well, if it's 12 o'clock in DeKalb, we're going to play this game at 10 a.m. Pacific. No. That's too much of a, right? That might be too much of a sacrifice. We're not going to do that, right? We don't have to do that, right? We don't got to kick off at 10 a.m. Because, yeah, we don't want our Pacific team, right? Actually, I gotta look at the time zone map, because I swear I think Vegas is Pacific. I'm pretty sure Vegas is Pacific, but I just ain't at. I'm not as right. I think Nevada's Pacific. I'm just not as confident, but I believe Nevada's Pacific. I hope Nevada's Pacific in this case. But yeah, we want to manipulate the time zones, right? So like I was saying, you know, let's say Nevada is Pacific. So perfect example, right? We got for sure San Jose State, that's Pacific. Nevada, UNLV, we're going to assume, like I said, that they are Pacific. I know that New Mexico, UTEP, and Air Force, and I believe Wyoming, those four have to be Mountain Time. So we got 3 Pacific, 4 Mountain. Who am I missing? All right, we know NIU is Central. I'm missing a school. Who am I missing? Who am I missing right now? I said Nevada, UNLV, San Jose State. Oh, Hawaii. That's a whole nother one. Don't get me started with Hawaii. Don't get me started with Hawaii. So the thing I think I remember hearing with Hawaii is a whole 6 hour. Right? So that's a 6 hour difference. So when you're doing the math on Hawaii, that's a 6 hour thing. If I remember correctly, it's a 6 hour difference. So, and I think it was 6 hours from Central Time, or maybe it was 6 hours from Eastern Time. I can't remember because I just knew the math not that long, but I believe it's literally a 6 hour difference from Eastern Time, I believe. So you would have to do the math on that one. But like I said, the Mountain West now has 4 time zones: Hawaii, Pacific, Mountain, and Central. If we would have added Toledo, that gives you a 5th time zone. Hawaii, matter of fact, the Mountain West would be in such a unique situation. We would be the only conference with 5 time zones. Let that sink in. There would be no other football conference that has 5 time zones. It wouldn't exist. Hawaii purposely gets special attention because of where it's at, right? If you've read any articles when they talk about Hawaii gets special attention, especially with gamblers, because when you have all these other games that happen, and then there's a Hawaii home game, you still get one last football game you get to gamble on, because if it's a 6 p.m., 7 p.m. kickoff Hawaii time, that's literally a whole total different, like you're in a different place in the world, right? So you get to gamble at these weird times of day, right? Hawaii is just that far. Matter of fact, here's the thing. Hawaii is, if I'm thinking about where they are, it gets weird because Hawaii is essentially, like I said, I'm pretty sure when I did the math, it was 6 hours. So if you wanted a 12 o'clock, a noon kickoff in Hawaii, I want to say it would be 6 p.m. here, which ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. Not to me, right? So it's ways to manipulate that, ways to do it. Yeah. Hawaii is just that interesting one, man. That's an interesting one. But sticking with Hawaii, the rules for the NCAA states that if you play Hawaii in a season, because the travel costs as much as it does when you are the away team playing Hawaii at home, you actually can play a 13th game. So it creates a very interesting, dope situation. I heard AD Frazier mention week 0 as an option for games, right? Do some creative things to generate revenue for the sake of rivalry purposes. For the sake of rivalry purposes. And this will be interesting. The fan base, we view Toledo as our rival. Right? I know we view Toledo as our rival, but it's not a real rival. That's our unofficial rival. Ball State is a real rivalry with hardware on the line. Miami, Ohio is a real rivalry with hardware on the line. But the thing is, right, the Miami, Ohio rivalry feels a bit forced. Ball State, to me, those games have been intense as of late. There's a little bit more hatred between the two, right? We've seen it, right? These are games that have come to literally kick off. Like they came down to field goals, right? So there's a little bit of a little extra hate between them, right? Between these two schools, as of late. But Toledo, you got to figure this out. I think NIU, what we need to do whenever we can, and I think it'll be easier to do, is schedule a home and away with Ball State. I feel like that's the best way to do it. Because the thing is, with the Mountain West right now, it will be very easy to do the scheduling for the Mountain West, for the most part. If you're home this year versus Hawaii, then you're going to be away next year, and then the year after that, you'll be home. The year after that, you'll be away, right? It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's how it works. So if we know the year where we play Hawaii, then we definitely can work in one of our non-con games as a game against Ball State. I say that could be a week 0 game. That could be a week 1 matchup. The reason why you want to do it is because you want to make sure, at least for the most part, it is a game folks come to. I think people will attend a week 0 or a week 1 game against Ball State at home. Because, like I said, the goal is you want folks to attend to buy tickets to make up some of that loss. Second game that I would love for NIU to be able to pull this one off is if we can get a home and away against Northwestern. If we can get something long-term against Northwestern, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Because that's another game people show up to. People show up to games, and this is most schools that aren't, most of the group of schools, non-power conference schools, whenever you have a power conference team that does show up to your home, your fans tend to show up. So, for instance, in a schedule where NIU, we're going to eventually play Hawaii. We're the away team, so we're going to have to travel to Hawaii. We have to take advantage of that week 0 because we are the team that is the farthest away from Hawaii. We're going to have to play that game. We have to. We need that extra home game to generate money. I say your goal, you want a home and away. If you can, every year for as many years as possible, Northwestern, we will play y'all. Hands down, we will play y'all. You got enough Northwestern fans that I'm sure will travel to DeKalb to watch the game. You got enough, clearly NIU fans will be there. We got to make it happen. We got to. It has to be a power conference team. We got to get a power conference team at home. There ain't a whole lot of power conference teams who I think would be willing to go to DeKalb. I think you can get Northwestern to come to DeKalb and play. I think you can get Northwestern to come to DeKalb and play. I think you could potentially get Purdue to come to DeKalb and play. And like I said, you do a home and away. Purdue, you come to us. The next season, we go to y'all. What's the trade-off? Since it's a home and away, you don't got to pay us. Because usually the way it goes is you pay us. I think NIU, if they can, if we can get the home and away versus a school like Northwestern alternating, right? Every year that we have to go play Hawaii, it's a win-win, right? We'll come to Ryan Field, even though I know they got a new stadium on the way. We'll come play y'all. Y'all come play us the next year. We come play y'all. Y'all come play us the next. Let's just keep that going. Let's make that a thing. Let's make it a thing. It doesn't hurt at all. It don't hurt. And then, like I said, you get your other non-con games. Like I said, that was the reason why I threw Ball State out there, because I'm like, if we can't get a non-conference game, let's at least make it a game that we know people will show up to because they're like, I hate this team. Ball State versus NIU. Let's get that game at home. You make it week 0 or week 1. Try your hardest. NIU, work with the city of DeKalb, whatever. Let's see if we can line up Cornfest with, the weekend of that game. If you can line up Cornfest with the weekend of a week 0 game, you're going to get the attendance. You're going to get the attendance. But that game needs to be either Ball State or Toledo. It needs to be Ball State or Toledo. And then vice versa. Like I said, we will go to them and we'll play them. We'll go to them and play. The goal is you want to get as much as your fan base to show up. You want to get as much as your fan base to show up. Right? Don't even rely on the visitor fans to show up. I feel like NIU fans will travel to Muncie, Indiana to watch that game. But time of year, weather, all this stuff factors in. I want to go play, because I think when we played Ball State this year, it was right there around Halloween. It was a Halloween game. That's when we had it. It was a Halloween game. It wasn't horrible outside. It was pretty cool, if I remember. Let's have that game in August if we can. Still nice, hot outside, beautiful weather, this at the third. Let's do that. Either Ball State or Northwestern or Purdue, right? I don't know if we can get Iowa State, right? Can we get Iowa State to come back to, right? Maybe Kansas, right? But the goal should be, hey, we're willing to have this home and away with you all for the next whatever seasons. Let's do it. Let's do it. Has to be a game where NIU fans will show up. The bonus, like I said, the bonus of it being a power conference team is their fans will show up. They will have fans that travel. And who's the easiest one? Northwestern. I would love a home and away versus the U of I. If we can get a home and away versus U of I, hands down. Hands down. You ain't got to. Hands down. We're playing that game. We're playing that game. JB Pritzker, please, for the love of everything, come bless a U of I versus NIU football game with some sort of official piece of hardware on the line. Please. It can be matter of fact. And I don't know why we don't do this. It seems kind of goofy. It seems kind of stupid. Like, I just know deep down, NIU could get a home and away versus both. We should be able to get a home and away versus U of I and against Northwestern. I know there's the whole thing of, well, NIU makes some good money off of playing power conference teams, so you don't necessarily want to do a home and away because now you're sacrificing that payday, right? Does our ticket sales generate that type of pay? We got to crunch the numbers. What do our ticket sales generate? If we can pack the stadium, how much money is that? And then now, that's all it simply is. If we can pack the stadium, then that will tell you how much it is. If NIU can pack the stadium, that is worth yada, 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 yada dollars. If we can pack the stadium, if we can get 30,000 people into the stadium, then there you go. If we can get 30,000 people into the stadium, there you go. That equates to this number of dollars. Whatever we got to do to figure it out, just crunch the numbers. Because I think it would be dope. Home and away versus U of I, home and away versus Northwestern. This is all I do know. We for sure need to be able to do that during those years where we have an away versus Hawaii. So that way that extra revenue is coming in. We got to. Right? That's our week. We get that week 0 game added in. And then there you go. I don't think you necessarily have to make it a week 0 game, but just for the sake of excitement, viewership, all of those things, it would be crazy not to make it a week 0 game. Make it a week 0 game. Make it against the in-state rival. There you go. There you go. The numbers, you will get the attendance and the viewership. You get the attendance and the viewership. You get the best of both worlds. You get the best of both worlds. Come on, make it happen. Make it happen. NIU is in a better position. Long story short, I believe that the Mountain West Conference Commissioner will do everything in her power to make sure NIU is elevated in certain games, right? Because you want the viewership, right? If you can get that premium Friday night, I'm gonna have Air Force versus NIU in DeKalb, 6:30, 7 p.m. kickoff, whatever in between there, Friday night, the viewership will be there, the attendance will be there, right? Just don't do it in November, right? You just got to be strategic about these things. Be strategic. Be strategic. That's a game that we're going to play. It's going to be, make that an October, September, anywhere from August to October. August to October, perfectly safe to have that matchup. Whatever you do, keep NIU, stay away from DeKalb in November. We want to stay away from DeKalb in November. We're going to have at least a home game in November. But if you can, front load a nice little chunk of home games before November. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for much. But let's front load some of those games. If we get 3 away games in November and 1, I'll take that. I'll take it. It could be fun. Let's do Wyoming versus NIU, right? Because it don't matter. If we go to Wyoming, it'll probably be snowing. If Wyoming comes to us, it'll probably be snowing. It's going to be a nice cold game. Both teams are used to it. There you go. There you go. Right? But for the most part, okay, if we can now have NIU football, but we're in El Paso. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. It's nice and warm. Is NIU versus San Jose State in San Jose. Oh, this is nice. This is a lot different. Is NIU versus Nevada or UNLV there. This is nice. It's not 2 degrees outside. It's not 10. It's not whatever. It's a nice game. Right, you're going to have to get at least one of them. We can't finish the season out with just all straight away games. That would suck. Right, we got to get at least a home game. But yeah, I'm all for let's put as many NIU Mountain West Conference home games before November as we can. Put as many before November as you can. Okay, one of them will be in November, but put as many before November as you can. There you go. So we got our 4 home games. One of them will be August, right? Or no, maybe, okay, so maybe 2 September, 1 October, 1 November, and then the rest, you figure them out, fill them in where you can. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Let's make it work. Let's make it work. But I have a lot of confidence in what we're stepping into. It should be better situation, better results, better, right? Are there other games? Here's the one thing, right? This can be viewed as a con because I'm an honest person. I do this research. I had to go back and look at college football and those Fridays. I had to go back and look at college football and look at those Fridays. Unlike Maction, just being honest, Maction were the only games that you saw coming on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So they were uninterrupted by anybody else. It was just Mac. Friday, on the other hand, I do believe that you actually get Mountain West. I believe so. You get Mountain West. Well, of course, you get Mountain West. You get Mountain West, you get, I believe, Big 12 or Big 10. It's one of them two. I believe you get either Big 12 or Big 10. So, yeah. You got to be real strategic. Because it is not just going to be NIU versus another MAC team competing for viewership. It is going to be Mountain West versus a power conference who's playing a game on a Friday. So you have to factor that in. My thing is, and I hope the Mountain West doesn't do this, do not start creeping into the weekdays. Stick to being straight up. Stick to Friday. Have faith in yourselves, because I would rather have NIU on a Friday night so you can get attendance and viewership, because you will get viewership. It'll happen. You'll get it. You'll get viewership. NIU on a Friday night instead of NIU on a Thursday night, because you're just going to get the same thing that we've been getting for years. You'll get the views with little to no attendance, and it's going to suck. Friday night, you can get some attendance, and you should get the viewership. Do we have to compete against some other teams for that viewership? Yes. But this is where you got to be real strategic. This is where you got to, where do we fit this in? I think if I can get real smart with how I'm doing things, right? Like we said, if it is if we know we have a Friday game, and let's look at who we got to compete against, right? You don't want that Friday game to be so early that folks are still in class, that people are, no. You want that Friday game to be the earliest 5:30. Earliest 5:30. And that's still cutting it a little bit. Earliest 5:30 kickoff. Can I get from my job to DeKalb in time for that game? Essentially, yes, I should be able to. 5:30 kickoff should be doable. 6 p.m., even more doable. But like I said, it all depends on who the matchup is, because we don't want to do it too late. We don't want to do it too early, right? This is all strategy. It's all strategy. You just got to think it out. When can we get that NIU game on TV and get it going before we have to now compete with, Colorado versus whoever just came on, right? When can we get that NIU game on? And like I said, depending on what's going on, you will still get, right? You'll get that NIU game. You'll get that NIU game. You just got to be smart about this. You got to be smart about this. But you don't want to kick off too early. Sometimes it ain't just about the viewership. You need that attendance. 5:45 kickoff, 6 p.m. kickoff, Central Time, right? If we know NIU's at 6 p.m. and this other game don't come on for another hour, and then the other game after that comes on at like 8 p.m., we're solid. We're good. All those games will be staggered. They'll all be staggered. For the most part, NIU, at least in the Chicagoland area, in the state of Illinois, will get the views. We will get the views. Those TVs most likely won't change. They will stay on the NIU game because, well, guess what? That's a local game. Why? I'm not turning, like, yeah, I'm going to watch them. I'm going to support. I'm going to see how this is going. It's a tight game, right? The bars are going to keep that game on. Right? Okay, it's a Big Ten game. If it's U of I or Northwestern or something, okay, there's going to be a little bit of competition. If it's Ohio State versus okay, yeah, that game is going to get turned on for sure. But like I said, it all depends. It just all starts to depend. You just got to be strategic. You got to be strategic. Because a 7 p.m. kickoff Pacific time is 9 p.m. Central. And if the teams that are playing are two Pacific teams, there you go. That works. But if you got an NIU game on a Friday, and then you're looking at who else is about to play on that Friday. How can we, right? We have to have our kickoff before theirs, but we don't want to do it too early. You got to find that sweet spot. It's doable. You just got to play the game, run the data, look at it. Like it's kind of common sense. We need our game to come on before their game, because we know that game is going to steal some viewership depending on who it is. Depending on who it is. If it's Purdue versus Rutgers, we're fine. We're safe, right? But like I said, it's U of I versus Ohio State. Damn. We're gonna, yeah, right? A lot of them TVs, they're gonna flip. They're gonna start flipping channels, right? So you just gotta think about it. You just gotta think about it. Just gotta think about it. We can make this work. We can make this happen. But yeah, other than that, I mean, NIU's in a good spot. Strategically, financially, we're in a decent spot. Travel is not going to be the end of the world. Like I said, being able to schedule that 13th game goes a long way. People got to realize it goes a long way. But NIU, we have to pick. We got to develop some sort of relationship, agreement, partnership, something where it's like, yo, whether you want to believe it or not, this benefits everybody. It benefits everybody. Why we don't play our in-state rivals I don't know. It's crazy. NIU and U of I should be playing each other much more often than they do. NIU and Northwestern, we should be playing each other more often than what we do. If we can get a home and away versus NIU and Northwestern, and that agreement be, well, yes, it's a home and away, you all don't have to, like, we'll come down there and y'all don't got to pay us, right? Maybe that's what it is. You make it happen. Because like I said, you just got to crunch the numbers. You just got to crunch the numbers. And like I said, our thing has to be, we got to have some focus on rebuilding our attendance. We got to rebuild our game attendance. We need teams like that to show up to Husky Stadium, because you get U of I to come up to DeKalb, that stadium is packing. That stadium will be filled. There's going to be a lot of hate. There's going to be a lot of shit talking. But we need that home game. Northwestern comes to it ain't going to be as much like, I don't think anybody hates Northwestern, but, it's like friendly rivalry. Like, okay, we got two in-state teams playing each other. People can attend the game. But we got to make it happen. We got to. Why haven't we been able to make this happen? Don't know. I don't know. We got to make it happen, man. But yeah, other than that, yeah, NIU's in a very good spot. Like, we are, based on statistics and data and analytics and all those things, we're considered one of the better teams in that conference. Now, we know the transfer portal this, transfer portal that. We're losing kids left and right. We had a bunch of seniors go. Right, we still got a season, and then we'll be in the Mountain West. But we're predicted to be one of the stronger teams in that conference. NIU could mess around and win the conference within the first couple years we're there. It all depends. Right now, everything points to UNLV. UNLV has ramped up exponentially. So everything points to UNLV. But we understand, if anybody should understand how football works, NIU, right? We are the team who's been knocking off folks that we should not beat on paper, right? We've been doing it for years now. We've been doing it for years. So we can't just purely go based on, oh, well, they got this coach, they got these players transferring in, they got this, they got that, they got this money. Yeah, that's great, but who wants it the most? Who is locked in? Who is playing up to where we believe they can play? NIU came out on that field and they won that day. And we've seen them do it time and time again. So let's not even worry too much about that, right? But NIU should be extremely competitive in this conference. We should. We need to get our attendance up. We need to get our attendance up. And then we also need to, like I said, always in the video with something that we got to work on getting our not just our attendance. We need to get our actual, for real, like, school enrollment up. So that's a whole nother thing, right? And we got to work on some way, somehow increase the enrollment to naturally increase the game attendance, right? We're now in a conference that gives us better scheduled games, right? Weekends and a Friday night. So there should be no more excuse of, why can't you make the game? Weekend games, Friday night games, right? We'll probably have one Friday night game home, maybe two. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we get two home Friday night games. I don't know. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. But all of our games, for the most part, are going to end up on Saturdays now. There should be no reason why we don't have solid game attendance. We got to. We have to. We got to get this together. So, other than that, we're in the Mountain West. Big things are coming. I'm excited. I'm excited. The goal should still be make it to a power conference. But we can't talk about that until, like I said, we get the game attendance up and our team hits this stride of excellence. And that's a consistent thing. Like I said, we had the golden era, which was, like I said, 2010 through 2014. But the thing that I feel like hindered us still ended up being game attendance, enrollment. So even though we had one of the best teams in the country, game attendance, enrollment were down. Like, could NIU from 2010 to 2014 have been competing in the Big 12? Yes, hands down. We could have been competing in the Big 12. Those teams could compete in the Big 12. I'm not saying we would have knocked off Texas every year or knocked off Oklahoma, but those teams in the Big 12, NIU could have slotted in. For the most part, I feel like we would have been bowl eligible every year. We would have got 6 wins. I'm not necessarily saying we could have 6 wins all from conference play, but we would have gotten 6 wins. We got 4 non-cons, and you got 8 conference games. Or actually, I think in the Big 12 back then, they were one of the conferences that was doing 9 conference games. So still, you had 3 non-cons, 9 conference games. I don't know who we scheduled for the non-con games, but we need to win 2 out of those 3. And then if, let's say we win 2, do some simple math. We need to win 4 conference games. Let's say we win all 3 of the non-cons, we need to win 3 conference games. That's still not a promise on how that works, but I'm that confident that those rosters, those teams were that good, that we could have gone into the Big 12 and competed during that stretch of time. We really could have. But to reality, this is where we are now. We need to build and we need to work. We can potentially do what Boise State has been unable to do. And that has been get into a power conference. And the thing I think hurting them all these years has essentially been their market. But I think Boise now, if Boise goes to the college football playoff again, I would be shocked if Boise doesn't get an invite from somebody. I would be shocked. I'm not going to lie. If Boise goes to the college football playoff again next year and they don't get a serious look from somebody, then I don't know. But NIU, we are blessed with location. because we can tap into Chicago. If we perform, if we attend the games, and if our enrollment starts to increase, right? If we can get a mixture of those three, that's all you need. Those three key components: game attendance. We get game attendance, our enrollment starts to go back up, right? So we're showing a increase, not a decrease, not a stagnation where we're just flat. Our attendance starts to go back up. If we can get those things, and then the football team does what they need to do. If the football team starts getting 10-win seasons in a row, if the NIU football team gets 3 10-win seasons in a row, and let's say 2 out of those 3 we win the conference, or all 3 we win the conference, if we can't finagle our way into the Big 12 or the damn ACC or something, then I don't know. This it's all rigged. At that point, this is just all rigged. Like, I don't get it now. Because I'm like, if you got a team that's winning, they're getting TV viewership, they have game attendance, right? Enrollment is up. NIU should be able to get in somewhere, right? All I keep hearing is there's going to be another shift with all this expansion stuff and realignment. The power conference has got a huge shift coming up. But that's sooner rather than later. But that won't necessarily mean everything is going to be done. This is not going to be finite. You still, I think, other than what's about to happen soon, I think after that, you might have one more slight window where you see some shifts going around. And if NIU can do whatever in their power to be ready for whenever the next shift happens, that's all we need. We just need game attendance. We need enrollment and the team to go out on the field and do what they do. We need this to be a consistent 9 to 10 win team. We need it. 10 wins, I think, gets you to where you need to get to. Right? Like, if we get 10 wins and our 2 losses were against like a major team every year, and then they're like close games, not us getting just blown out. Those 10 wins and those 2 losses prove, okay, NIU solid. Like, they are legit. Like, they're a legit program. What they got going on, they're solid. Viewership numbers. Look at the numbers. We got Mountain West Conference games doing better than Big 12 games. We got Mountain West Conference games that are doing better than ACC games. You know what? We might need to give NIU a trial run. Like, let's see what NIU can do in the Big 12. Let's see what NIU can do in the ACC, right? And then there you go. We've officially, that's us reaching the mountaintop, because the Big 10, that ain't gonna happen. SEC, that don't even make sense. But if we can get into the Big 12 or the ACC or whatever will be going on by then, I think we're in a good spot. So we just gotta, right, this was step 1 to the 6 to 10 year plan. Because the Mountain West, you can't view that as, well, this is where we got to and this is where we're going to be. No, it should be, we need to do whatever the hell needs to be done so we're ready when them shifts start happening again. That folks are like, here's what we can present. We got consistent 20,000, 25,000, whatever plus attendance, yada, yada, yada. We got this, we got that. We just got to be able to have those things to present. If we can start averaging 20 to 25K attendance at games, right? If we're averaging that, right? We know those aren't SEC numbers. We know those aren't, right? But for us, if we're averaging 20, 25K attendance, our viewership is in the hundreds of thousands. Our enrollment is starting to go back up, and our team on the field is performing year in and year out, even with all the transfer portal stuff, even with just all that BS. And our team is performing regardless. NIU will get a shot. Because if you're worried about the stadium, Soldier Field, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to work out some sort of deal where NIU can play at Soldier Field. I'd be shocked if we can't, because it benefits everyone involved. Right? You want more revenue coming through. Well, we need a bigger stadium. We'll work on Husky Stadium, but until then, right, let's work out this contract. NIU will play at Soldier Field for home games for the next 3 to 5 seasons, yada, 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 until renovations are due, yada, yada, yada. We get into the Big 12 or get into the ACC, enrollment is automatically going to go up. That's what you have to understand. Enrollment will go up by default because now you're on equal footing as some of these other name brand schools. Like, human psychology works that way. You're going to have people who want to go to NIU because NIU is a Big 12 school. NIU is an ACC school. That's what they do. Nobody is running to NIU because, oh, NIU is a MAC school. No. If NIU was in the Big 10, our enrollment would probably be like 40,000. We'd be for sure dipping into U of I numbers. Kids would be like, well, either do I go to U of I or do I go to NIU? U of I, NIU. Right now, it's a no-brainer. They're going to U of I. But, NIU's in the ACC. The ACC has Boston College. I'm going to NIU. It's only 30 minutes away from home. Yeah, I'm going to NIU. Right, NIU's legit. You'd be surprised how what conference you're in honestly impacts your enrollment. Like, it really does. I'm gonna start looking up. I'm gonna go look up University of Cincinnati enrollment from being in the AAC. Actually, I'm gonna go even further back. University of Cincinnati enrollment for like the last however many years. Let's go back maybe 15 years. And we're clearly going to see an increase. But what I really want to focus on is every time they made a conference change, how did it affect their enrollment? And then I definitely am going to want to look at how has their enrollment changed from the AAC to now being in the Big 12. Because there definitely had to have been a nice little spike. There had to have been. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, NIU has to have a 5 to 10 year plan. Right, but it all comes down to execution. We've got to get the donations up. I would love and wish if we had some Saudi prince or something come and be like, I like NIU. Here's $500 million. Right, that's a dream come true, but that's not how reality works. We gotta work some things, man. If I gotta start giving NIU $25 from each one of my checks, it is what it is. But we have to ramp things up. We got to get on pace with a lot of these other schools. And for the most part, a lot of the other Mountain West schools are better when it comes to facilities, all that stuff. Right? NIU sadly is where it's at due to budget. Our budget's killing us. So, all right, we got to find other ways. So, other than that, man, yeah, real excited. 2026 can't get here quick enough. All right, we got to go. We're about to go through the season of hell because, like I said, these MAC fans, they do not like NIU. And I got a weird feeling these MAC refs are going to make it hell for NIU. Like, I got a feeling it's going to be rough. It might be a bit rough. Like, I think we're going to get some unfavorable calls. We're going to get more BS calls than usual. It's going to be bad. So we have to dominate. We just got to be so good that it doesn't matter if you call this penalty. We're still going to win games. So we have to, like, we need to leave the MAC with a bang and move on to the next, and then start dominating in the Mountain West. So other than that, peace.